What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I'm your host, Jimmy Smith, and I thank you for taking the time on this beautiful Thursday night. Going through the top 10 matchups tonight, so I appreciate you, whether you're watching this live, watching this later. Appreciate you hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel. You have any questions, any comments you want to throw my way, please feel free to do so. Disclaimer before we get started, I think Ricky Bobby is next door. I keep hearing him revving up, so apologize if any of that comes your way, but I appreciate each and every one of you taking the time. Let's get this bad boy started. My man David in the building already. Love to see it. And it's funny that you say that Jalen Hurts' growth is like Tyrese Maxey. If you guys remember, if you follow me on Twitter, I made that comparison last year. I said, you guys are trying to trade Jalen Hurts just like you were Tyrese Maxey for Kyle Lowry. Let's see these kids develop before we just go ahead and get rid of everybody. Apparently now in today's age, we don't let players develop. So not for me. You guys all know I've been aboard the Hurts train trying to get everybody aboard. So love to see it. And David, it's a great comparison there, my man. Couldn't agree more. Hope you're doing well, man. Thank you for tuning in. Even before I was on, love to see it. My man Mark in the building. Always love to see my day one man Mark up in here. Hope you're doing well, dude. Shake and bake. And I'm pretty sure that is over there, dude, because it's just, I don't know what else is going on. It's been ridiculous. Like it was happening earlier. Then I'm just like, you really like, what are you working on there, bud? Like there's no way you would need to rev it up that many times. So I think he's got his friends over. They're having a little bit of measurement contest going on. So, let's get this bad boy started. Hope you're all doing well. Appreciate each and every one of you. Hope you enjoyed that victory, but we're moving on. We're talking about the Commanders. We talked last night behind enemy lines, got to know the entire Washington roster, their depth chart, their coaches, the game details, everything your heart could desire. So go check that out. I'll post that down in the comments below, but let's get into this top 10 matchup. Now, the matchups, the way I do this is I'm not going to rank them by which is the best one. This is the most. It's the top 10 that I'm looking at, and I'm going through offense and I'm going through defense, sometimes special teams, and we're just going through with the Eagles. So first we'll look at the matchups on offense for the Eagles, then on defense, special teams, as you see listed on the side here. So that's how we do things, just letting you know before we get into it, but I would love to hear all of your thoughts. If you have any remarks on the matchup is right in front of you or a matchup, you think is going to be great, please feel free to let me know. If you're watching this later, you think I left something out, would love to hear your thoughts, but we'll start this bad boy off. We'll go with the offense first. And this offense, baby, is rolling. You love to see it. We know what adding A.J. Brown does to this team. And we were a running attack last year, but been passing the ball a lot. And Jalen Hurts, he's out there slinging it, baby. So I can't explain what's happening here. We talked about staying patient with it, but I'm pretty excited about this offense. Now, number one, Jalen Hurts, baby. Now, let's be real here. Most people did not want to give this young man a chance. And look, it's a new age. I don't understand it, but I was willing and obviously behind this kid, ready to see what he could do. And in the 2 games so far, he's done pretty damn well. So when you look at this team last year, we ran the ball all over everybody, and everybody's like, oh, well, we don't pass the ball. Well, we're like second in pass attempts right now, so pretty damn good. In yards per attempt, I remember seeing that Jalen Hurts was first. So kind of crazy that we've come this far. And, going against this Commanders defense in years past, really tough defense to go against, but missing Chase Young right now. And honestly, it just looks like this team is not the same, this defense. So look, you're going to come at them just like you did each one. And it's a different each week. You go with the best game plan and you have so many weapons, man. We've talked about it this offseason. When you add an X receiver like A.J. Brown, an interchangeable receiver where you can move them around, same with Devontae Smith. And then you've got Quez and Zach. Then you've got Goddard, you've got Miles Sanders. So we know the depth there too. And I really feel, each week you can attack these guys in certain ways. But having Jalen Hurts, you can attack them at all times with him. So leading the way, QB1, baby. I think the world is finally taking notice. This kid is him. So I think he is going to slice this defense up, and he can use his legs. They're definitely going to try to apply pressure without Chase Young, though. That's going to be huge. James Smith Williams was added to the injury report today. We talked about that a little bit ago. So dealing with some injuries there. Still got Montez, still got Duran and John in the middle there. So I think that it's still a tough defense. Good secondary, decent linebackers, some young ones that are learning. So we'll see how this team, comes out. But I think this offense, it's just better. And once we establish that run, baby, now I know I just said we've been passing the ball a lot. I think this is a game where you establish that damn run. So this is something, we've talked about. I want to see that playbook opened up. I want to see us passing the ball more, but Miles Sanders. Now, their Mike linebacker is Cole Holcomb this year. They moved Jamin Davis off ball. So I think that dude, they're both very athletic, and I think it's, going to be a combination of everybody, but you guys know how we do this. So we're just talking about one of those guys, and I think that, it's going to be intriguing to watch, but they have been horrendous against the run. I just want to say that. See a couple comments here. Yo, my man Drew in the building. Always nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. Love that you tuned in last night. Run it back. Love to see you guys supporting us. And, great content creator. Run it back. Hope you guys are following him, checking out his stuff, subscribing. Had a great time getting to know him, but appreciate you tuning in, my man. O-line versus their D-line, definitely. And we're going to be getting into that in a second, but couldn't agree more. It's going to be, they've got really tough guys there. So, but not as tough as I feel, the edge rushers in Minnesota. I thought we handled them pretty well. They got 4 sacks on us, though, so we better, change some things around. Run the damn ball. Yes. So that's exactly what I was talking about, Drew, when you entered. Appreciate the comments, man. Appreciate you taking the time. Now, what I was going to say was they are horrendous against that run. I believe they're giving up 157 yards per game. That's 5th worst right now, but they're giving up the most yards per carry, which is 7.5 yards per carry. We all know Miles Sanders can blow open for a home run at any time. So run that damn ball. That is correct, Drew. Couldn't agree more. My man, Drew, my man, Mark here. Always love to see my diehards, dude. I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. And of course, everybody else, you're watching this later, or you're watching this live. I truly appreciate you too. David throwing a comment in before the show even started. I love to see it. Appreciate you guys. Now, on to number 3, A.J. Brown. Now, we could talk about the entire receiving corps because I think they're going to slice and dice, and last week we took them, the Minnesota Vikings to the woodshed. 8 different receivers we had catching a ball, not wide receivers, obviously, but tight ends, running backs. But you have a lot of weapons, but I stuck with the one I think I'm going to like the most, and that's A.J. Brown versus Kendall Fuller, and I think he's going to smoke his ass. And, whether they have William Jackson lined up, they're both, I think Fuller's like 5'11", Jackson's like 6 foot, but they're both only, I think 189 was Jackson and 198 was Fuller. So not exactly A.J. Brown size. He was like 6'1", 220. So, or 120. So I think 220. Jesus Christ. So I think that this is going to be a matchup where you see a guy that's just bigger and badder, and he's just going to really rough him up. And I think taking apart the middle of the field is going to be something the Eagles do because, we've seen that we can do that. And you saw last week, Hurts in the middle of the field, to the left, the things that he can't do, he was doing all of them. And they are weak in the middle there with Holcomb and Jamin Davis struggling mightily the first 2 weeks. So I think you could definitely attack them with A.J. Brown. And if it's not A.J. Brown, well, then next on the list, you've got Dallas Goedert. So last week, what was it? 5 catches, 82 yards, I believe it was. So had a good game, and his blocking looks, dude, vastly improved. I just think this dude is proven he is that tight end 1, man. And, people felt a certain way when we traded Ertz, but we talked about that for weeks, months leading up to that. That was a move bound to happen. This dude was the future, and I'm excited what he's been doing. But we talked about those linebackers struggling. We talked about that defense struggling as a whole, Washington. So I think that Dallas Goedert, once again, that middle of the field, and it's not just the middle that he's going to be used, but I think those guys can feast. Really looking forward to that. And you saw Mark mention the offensive line. So I try to pick the most important part, and where they still, have some strength, obviously, is in the middle with Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne. You got to watch out for that. We've got some studs, though, so I think we'll be able to handle. But they are missing their pass rusher, Chase Young, their top dog. And they're dealing with James Smith-Williams with an injury. We'll see his game status tomorrow. We'll see if he's able to make it. But Montez Sweat, he is still a stud. And I think this is going to be a very fun match to watch. Lane Johnson, the best right tackle in the game, looking at his best. I really can't wait to see that one. So I thought, I wholeheartedly agree with you there, Mark. It's going to be fun to watch that battle. And trying to pick one, I was like, well, I'll go with the one where they actually have a chance, right? So I thought that was really a good battle to watch for, and those were the ones on offense for you. Yo, my man, Ted. And Ted, I believe you were the one that just commented not too long ago. I responded back. A fan for 45 years. I really appreciate what you had to say, man. That was really kind of you, and I'm glad you're tuning in, dude. I really appreciate having you in the family and can't wait to talk all season long with you about our birds. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying this content, do me a favor, hit that like button. You can always subscribe and turn that notification bell on. For those of you watching on LinkedIn, truly appreciate you taking the time as well. Got enough subscribers. Now we're live there too. So let's go, baby. Appreciate each and every one of you. But let's get this going here to the defensive side of the ball. And this defense, I've spent all offseason trying to break down the multiple schemes, all the things we could see, all of the different formations, all of the, the versatile players, where they could line up, all that stuff. We broke it down. And last week, we got a nice taste of it. Cover 0, cover 1. You had cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, cover 6. We talked about that cover 6 with the quarter halves. We talked about playing that 5-1-5. Oh, yeah. You saw a lot of it, ladies and gentlemen. We broke that down all week. That is how you stop Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. That is exactly what the Eagles did. Dalvin Cook had 17 yards. Justin Jefferson, 48. Okay, I'm all in this defense. If Jonathan Gannon, and each week it's going to be something different. The schemes are based off of what this offense runs. So really excited about it. And I think this defense, we're going to come to play in Washington, because here we go. Number 6, starting on the defense, Carson Wentz, going against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I cannot stress to you enough how excited I am about this matchup, the Hurts-Wentz Part 1. And I am really hoping this defense brings exactly what they brought to the table last week. I think, really showing off what we talked about. You disguise what you're doing. Having a Sam linebacker in Reddick, I know people hate he drops in the coverage. He's got to work on some things, but I love what we're doing here. The idea of it, we talk about, it's going to take a few weeks to get things, really at 100%. When it's more of them just reacting and not having to think and then react, things are going to be quite different. So Carson Wentz has been out there slinging it, but he's also been out there making the same stupid mistakes. So look, man, we need to capitalize on that. Talked about it yesterday, and then on Run It Back with Eastwood there. Dude, it was awesome. But we talked about this dude still making, turnovers. We need to capitalize on that, get turnovers, get the sacks, put this dude in the dirt. And I know he's got a lot of stats right now with pass yards and touchdowns, but a lot of that is garbage time because he keeps causing his team to go down by so much that he has to be throwing the ball. So, I understand people are still holding on to, oh my God, I love him. But it's like, dude, he's a commander now. He's in Washington. He is the enemy. I don't care. It's Hurts versus Wentz now, man. So if you're truly an Eagles fan, you're wholeheartedly rooting against Carson Wentz. And I just don't understand how people it's weird behavior out there, ladies and gentlemen. But let's go Birds. And I think this defense, man, it could be, Wentz is going to be coming out playing with the fire, man. He wants to get us back. So I'm not saying this dude ain't going to come, but we know we can get him rattled and make stupid decisions. So let's hope we can get that going. Yo, my man, Eagle Man in the building. I am doing well. Truly great to see you. I hope you are doing well also, my man. Hope you enjoyed that game on Monday, and hope you're ready for this one on Sunday. Let's go. Get him after Wentz and let him turn. That's exactly right, my man, Mike. And look, we all know who Carson Wentz is. We're all very aware. This dude, he's got great talent, but he makes stupid decisions. His pocket awareness is horrible. So, hey, man, we got to hope for that, Carson Wentz, and let's go after him. Yes, on LinkedIn, too. I am just trying to spread that brotherly love wherever I can, trying to teach about that defense this offseason. So I started posting stuff on LinkedIn, but it told me I could go live once I got 150 followers. So I guess I did, and let's go Birds. So just trying to spread it around. My worst fear, losing OC and DC. Hey, great point, Ted. And I talked about, at the beginning of this year, someone had asked me, I went on somebody's show and they asked me who I thought or what I thought about Gannon. I said, I think he's going to do so well because they were saying he was going to get fired. And I said, no, I think he's going to do so well that he's going to get a job somewhere. So he'll go be a head coach. And Shane Steichen, you could say the same thing for very bright young minds. That's why when I broke those down, when Sirianni added them to the staff, I was very excited about those guys because I think they have very bright futures. So 100% agree with you there, Ted. We got to get things going. But I think in-house, you have a lot of guys that are very, very exciting. Jamal Singleton, the assistant head coach, running backs coach here. You look at Denard Wilson over there, the D-backs coach. I would love to see both of those guys just move right into those positions. So I get it. I'm with you. And that is part of the game that sucks. But two great minds there helping Nick Sirianni out here. So I'm with you 100%, Ted. we can contain the Redskins no more than 20, the Commanders and 20 points, we should be good. Yeah, man. I think if we can hold the Vikings to 7, we need to get them down. Yeah, no doubt. When I was reading, I was like, Commander, because I have to keep. I'm like, okay, because first I learned football team, so now I got to train myself to not say football team, to say command. It's like, yeah, are they going to change it again next week? Oh my God. I love watching this kid Hurts. Went from one read and run, Tebow. Yeah, and that's the thing. We all knew who he was last year. That's why I didn't understand why the media and, some of the casual fans were, quarterbacks can't develop, he can't go through. And the narrative was he had a weak arm. And I always laughed because I was like, man, you guys are listening to the wrong people. He clearly doesn't have a weak arm. But it was his reads. It was his progressions, how he was holding on to the ball, his pocket awareness, leaving the pocket too early. All these things that we talked about, throughout the year last year, this offseason, he worked on all of those things. And he's like rubbing it in people's faces. Can't throw in the middle, can't throw it to the left. And it's like, well, again. And, that's what we talked about. I don't understand where this idea came from that quarterbacks can't develop. And, some quarterbacks come out and you know who they are. Okay, this is the pocket quarterback, does this, blah, blah, that. But then there's ones that are dual threat quarterbacks that need to work on, their pocket awareness, their whatever, their accuracy. That was Jalen Hurts. We all knew that. And then last year was his first year coming into the year as a starter. And this year is his first year having the same system since high school. So I was perfectly fine. I thought this year he actually has time to go out and learn the fundamentals he needs to. He doesn't have to go out and learn a new system again, which he had to do every effing year forever. So I'm really excited about him too, man. I can't agree more with you there. So I think it's going to be exciting. Now, this defense shut down Carson Wentz, get after him. We talked about the turnovers, but let's try to make them one-dimensional like they have been the last few weeks by making those turnovers, But if we can shut down these wide receivers, man, this one I was like, I'm not picking one. I'm not, because they have such a talented group of receivers and we have such a talented group of corners. So I wanted to highlight all of them. I think Terry McLaurin, amazing wide receiver, very underrated. Curtis Samuel looking really good coming back from that injury, missed last year most of the time. Jahan Dotson, we talked about what a great draft pick that was for them. So they've got some damn weapons there at the wide receiver position, but so did the Vikings. And I don't care. As I've said all year, I think we could shut down teams like the Vikings. And if it's a team like Washington, then I'm definitely not afraid. But they are weapons, man, and they are really good. So again, I think you're going to see a lot of what we talked about last week. I think you're going to need to run. Now, what I don't think you're going to see is a lot of the cover 0, cover 1. Definitely will be mixed in a little bit, but I don't think you have to have a lot of this man coverage where there's a Justin Jefferson. You have to look out for all of them. So I think more of that zone. I think you'll see more of the cover 2, not so much. More, I would say cover 3, cover 4, and cover 6. I think cover 6 the most. I think you're going to see a lot of that quarter, half, or half, quarters, depending on how they're lining up. So I'm really excited about what this defense can do, but they got a tough test in front of them. And, I think obviously, they've got some damn good receivers, but they also got a really good running back. So, and if you do make them one-dimensional and you do try to take away that run with someone like TJ Edwards, who's just been smoking people, love what he's been able to do, still some mistakes, but he's still growing and getting better. And then you've got Kaiser White there too. We all know the linebacking crew, but just highlighting the top guys. So I really think, Gibson, you got to watch him everywhere. He could definitely catch some balls out of the backfield, and the same goes for J.D. McKissick. They will kill you in the air, no matter what, linebacker, wide receiver, the tight end cover and the linebacker is what I'm looking at here. That's next. So speaking of that linebacker, we've got Kaiser White, who I mentioned, who is just a stud, man. And Logan Thomas here. Look, Carson Wentz loves his tight ends, and this is a converted quarterback to tight end. And hey, actually, Kaiser White is converted safety to linebacker. So we got two guys that started as something different, but versatile players, man, in the NFL. That's the name of the game. And this is going to be fun to watch. And, Irv Smith had some pretty damn good catches, but he obviously dropped a pretty important one. So we'll see how he does. But I think Logan Thomas is going to be a big factor in this game. We need to shut him down to the best of our ability, because I think, obviously you're going to take away the receivers and the running back as much as you can, but that's going to leave a lot of things open for Logan Thomas. So keep an eye on him. And then on their offensive side, the place where I found I really want to watch is who their center is, first and foremost. Now, Wes Schweitzer here actually, returned to practice in a full capacity. He's good to go. So it looks like he'll probably be the starting center again, but they lost Chase Roulier. They had already lost Tyler Larson. So they are weak in the middle. Now, I don't think this is a very strong offensive line. We talked about that yesterday and behind enemy lines when we looked at their offensive line. I think that you can finally get some damn pressure. You know that it has been lacking. And I know a lot of people will say, you got to blitz. That's what I've been saying. Well, what I've been trying to say since last year is it is not about the blitz, man. It's with the schemes we are playing, it's about creating pressure with the guys that you're already sending. It's not blitzing. So you saw the Bills do that in week 1 against the Rams. And I think people finally understand what I'm trying to say. And it's like you get pressure without having to, sacrifice players in coverage. So I think in this game, you're going to want to get pressure without sending people because they've got a lot of weapons in the air. So I really just feel that people are about to learn real fast, and doing that, you get pressure with big boys in the middle. Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, even Marlon Tuipulotu, Milton Williams getting them some, Jordan Davis. So everybody get in there and wreak havoc. Now, again, I think that, you could have Reddick out here feasting on Cornelius Lucas or whatever side he wants to be on. I really think that it's finally time to see a little bit of sack fest. Now, is a lot of that going to be the offensive line? Yes. Is most of it probably going to be on Carson Wentz? Yes, that's probably what I would say. So we'll see, but I think it's time for this defense to come out and have one of those games. You know what I mean? Now, this was amazing last week. We shut down Justin Jefferson, so that was that game. But I mean, we're talking about like a frenzy, just of turnovers, touchdowns. I'd love to see it all, man. I really would. It's a shame that only college coach that taught him about quarterback was Lincoln Riley. I feel he was done injustice. I really did too. And I talked about that last night, man. I think every time they changed the system, you look at the things they were trying to, change for him. And that does a number on someone while they're trying to learn a new system. They also are trying to learn to be a quarterback. But when you have the skills that he does, you don't have to be all the time. When you get in the NFL, you have to be. So it is what it is now. Hurts was making good reads from within the pocket with the combination of pocket passing along with him utilizing mobility is deadly. Exactly. And that's what we talk about. I don't understand why people say that's a bad thing. I try to explain it for over a year now. Dual threat quarterback, good thing. Very, very, very good thing. So once he gets that passing down, here we go. On the road to the Super Bowls. Jalen's, hey, man. Wall and Oates. I've been trying Oates. You know it, dude. And people are finally seeing the light. And I love every second of it, dude. Let's go. Let's go. I'm just done. I'm done with the slander. I hope they are too. I'm done hearing it from them. So let's go. Hurts will be Eagles. Hey, man, I've been trying. I've been doing my best. This guy has the passion, the heart. He is a leader. This is what Philadelphia, he is the epitome of it. So as I said, in a year, he'll be, the franchise. Everybody be worshiping him and, praising him. And we're almost there already, and I love it. Love the fact that our offense can dictate whatever, and our offense can be exactly. And I've talked about that. We are eventually going to get to the point when everyone's on the same page where we get to dictate every single game. I'm not afraid of anyone. I don't care. The Rams. Tom Brady. I don't care. I will tell you how we can beat each and every one of those teams. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not. Yeah, man. For sure. Weakness up the middle for those guys. Yes, indeed. I agree 100% with you. This is flying around. Hold on. Oates, I predict the first when the Eagles stay the whole career. Well, I think he's going to stay here anyway. He needs to. We'll see if he stays healthy. I will hope so. Yeah, me too, brother. I hope they do. It's time. Yeah, and I think Reddick, he just had a birthday. Go get you a birthday sack, my man. Very excited to see that. Happy birthday to Hassan Reddick. I think, hey, you know what? Let's call it right here, right now. Hassan Reddick gets 2 sacks on Carson Wentz this Sunday. Can't wait to see it. Dude, all about it. Let's go. I'm going to whoop up on that ass all about it. Now, we do have an honorable mention, so don't go anywhere. Can't wait to see Stout get Davis coached up and become a force in the pass rush and be more complete. Well, it won't be Stout teaching Davis because he is the offensive line coach, but he will definitely be able to help him because, on the defensive line, you go against the offensive line. So very excited. Tracy Rocker doing a great job, though, with the defensive line. So very excited about this Philadelphia team. Michael can't agree more with you. Very excited about Jordan Davis' future. Very excited. It's all right, man. You should hear some of the stuff I say sometimes. I think yesterday I said something, and you guys know I talk about Goddard as the Y, Calcaterra as the F type, and Stoll as the H back. And I said something about like Stoll as the Y tight end. And I remember being like, what did you? So, dude, don't worry. I forget. You see my graphics. I'll forget stuff all the time. I'm a high plains drifter, bro. You ain't got to worry about it. But let's get into the honorable mention here. And this one, it is honorable here because I definitely had to mention it. So Quez Watkins, not a fan of him back at kick returner. Love the dude as a wide receiver. Exciting long bomb here this past Monday. But I think, he's just been not great, and he wasn't great last year. We talked about that. So we talked about this year, could we be elevating Britton Covey for the first few games, find out what he is? Well, that is exactly what has happened. So Britton Covey, I don't know if they want to give him a shot back there at kick returner or what, but obviously he has not done anything yet. But the point of emphasis here is the fact that Britton Covey, each player can only be brought up 3 times. You can only elevate them 3 times where they don't have to go through that waiver process. So what's going on with Britton Covey is he's already been elevated 2 times. So what that means is if he gets elevated in this game, that's the last time. So what would happen was next week, in week 4, if you were to want to elevate him, you could. He wouldn't count against the roster, but he couldn't just go back on the practice squad. He would actually have to essentially be waived and then go through the waiver process. If no one claimed him, then you could stash him back on the practice squad. So what happens here with Britton Covey is you need to decide that last roster spot that we've been, open. It's been open. We have 52 guys. Is he going to earn that spot? That's what this game is. That's why it had to be the honorable mention, because it's time to earn you a job. But put him back there, Michael Clay. Put him back at kick returner. It couldn't be any worse than what Quez Watkins is doing. And Quez, I love you, dude. I really do. But that ain't your thing, man. It just really isn't. And maybe you think like, okay, a couple more tries, but it has not been great. So I just don't understand why you try Covey there. And I know he's a small guy, whatever, but dude, he's elusive and he's awesome in the open field. So give him one shot here, because this is his final shot to prove he can be on this active roster. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all I've got for you. The top 10 and of course that honorable mention, but got a minute here before I got to roll out. You have any final questions, comments, get them in. If you're watching this later though, you can always watch or you can always comment down below. I will always get back to you. But appreciate all of you tuning in. What will you do if the Eagles go to the Super Bowl? Like, will you start a big freaking barbecue before the game? Well, here's the thing. I just talked to my brother in the car, and I was like, look, man, he went to the last Super Bowl, and I was obviously really sick when we went to the Super Bowl. I wasn't able to go, but I wouldn't even had the money. But I told him, I was like, if we make it this year, I was like, I'll sell a kidney, I'll fight a rhino, a bear, whatever I have to do, I will be at that game. So I'll be tailgating at the Super Bowl if we make the Super Bowl. I really don't care. I need to be there if that happens. Order a big pizza. Hey, man, wings, cheesesteaks, all of it. I would need it all. I was on the lookout. You know it, man. And that's something I mention all the time. Trade for somebody if Covey doesn't do it. So this is his last shot to prove it. Got 0 hours of sleep. Hey, man, that's what I'm all about. I had, I think I got 5 hours last night. So yay. But the night before that, I had 3 hours. And you guys know I didn't sleep the night before that. So I was up for at one point, it was 68 hours and I'd only slept 3. And I was like, this is pretty rough. But hey, man, the birds do that to you when you got to drive really far to get to the game and back. It'll happen. So all about it, my man, all about it. And yes, I would be pounding coffee in the morning, pounding a Red Bull, whatever I had to do to keep it going at night. I would be, bringing the energy. People think I'm on crack without it, so I don't even need it. But I would be bringing it nonstop. So love it. Will Covey be able to park with the team if he's headed to that was one of the most hilarious stories. I don't know if you guys saw that, but when I got invited to that closed practice, I was just laughing with my buddy because of this, but you guys remember I got invited to that practice. So I'm like, what do I do? Like, I'm obviously not a media member and what? And he's like, oh, just go up. I got your name on the list. So I'm like, okay, let's see how this guy, I knew it. I was like, all right, let's see. So I pull in and I'm going to pull in. They're like, oh, you can't park here. It's just, and I was like, well, I'm a guest. I'm not a media member. They're like, oh, well, you can park over on this lot. So I'm like, all right. So I go park over there. I walk over and they're like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, well, I, just saw you 3 seconds ago. Now I'm parking and I'm going in. They're like, oh, what's your name? I'm like, I'm Jimmy Smith. I'm here with, and they're like, yeah, sorry about that. And they were so pumped up about it. I'm like, this mother, and I'm like, all right, dude, well, I still need to get in there. So I call my dude and I'm like, hey man, they are, not letting me in. He's like, all right, I'll be out. So when he gets out there, we go to walk in, they're like, oh, whoa, we're gonna need this. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go in. And they're like, what's your name? And he says his name and they're like, they check it like, and like these group of little turds are like so pumped up, and all of a sudden it must have been their manager. He walks up, he's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm here with Lane Johnson," and they're like, "Oh, whoa," because I'm with Lane Johnson's girlfriend, his trainer. I'm like, "Oh my god!" So these people just got put to shame. But it was like, really, dude? So I guarantee you, it was those same people who sassed Britton Covey. So I feel for you, Britton. I love you, man. I hope you get into the stadium. I love it, Mike. That's hilarious. But rooting for him, too. I hope they can put him back at kick returner. If not, get some done at punt returner or trade for a kick returner, as Ted just mentioned there. Do what you got to do, please. We've been talking about it. Get that return game going. We need a little spice there. So would love to see it. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm heading out here. Gotta roll out. But if you need anything, you know you can always reach out to me. Would love to hear your thoughts. If you got something from this, do me a favor. Hit that like button. You can always subscribe to the channel. Turn that notification bell on. But you want to talk some birds? You want to talk about life? Please feel free to reach out. But until next time, I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. My man conveys the GOAT. Yo, let's go. I hope you guys, Covey is going to be the GOAT, right? So let's see if he can get put back on kick returner first, maybe get something going there. If not, maybe you make a move. But let's get the return game going. Truly appreciate each and every one of you. Let me know your thoughts down below. Have yourselves a great night. Stay safe out there. And as always, go Birds!